Okay, so we just got the Docker container working here. Basically, if we call it down, if we build it, if we bring it up, then it will run both the NLWeb server and it will also run the Qdrant client as well, which is super important. And we'll do it both as Docker containers. And the great thing about that is then we can make a one-click deploy from our repo. We can even put it right in our README, and we can use a service called Railway, which will deploy this Docker container, meaning that if we put our WordPress plugin onto a production WordPress site, it makes it super easy to launch the associated NLWeb server with Qdrant, which then it can mean that it can index that entire WordPress site without the user having to worry about any type of like server configuration or setup. And again, we can't run these NLWeb code on our existing WordPress site just because most hosting providers have it locked down and you can't run Python code or execute code for security purposes. So I'm going to let this finish building and then I'll show you it all working, and then we'll package it up into a Railway container after. Okay, that just barely finished building. So now if we open up our localhost 8000, let's go ahead and there we go. Okay, so this is running now. Let's go ahead and just see if we can index the database now. Okay, so the command to do that is we're going to open up a terminal here. Make sure we're in the right directory. Okay, awesome. And now let's go ahead and we're going to run bash docker compose exec NLWeb. And then we're going to give it our URL. And then let's call this field rocket. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and remove, whoops. Okay, so here's the command we actually need to run right here. There we go. Awesome, so it did see the database, that's great. Let's go and check now that we have that information. Let's refresh this here. The other thing too is we can actually go to, here we go, this is actually the interface for Qdrant. Let's go and just look at the console, see if we can run this here. Okay, let's try this. What is field rocket? Let's go and send that in. Here you can see it is hitting our NLWeb server right here. Okay, awesome. It did search and it returned a list of the relevant items in our Qdrant database here. So that is working. Let's go and test it on our WordPress plugin. Okay, we're in WordPress. Let's go to our plugins here. NLWeb chat. Awesome, so that's live. So let's come over here and say, how do I grow my business as a residential contractor? Go ahead and send this in. Let's double check. Is this hitting it? It is hitting it. Cool. So this does seem to be working. Awesome. Very good. All right. So now we're ready to test this and try to get this to deploy on Railway. So let's jump into that. First thing is we're going to go ahead and commit our Docker information in here. So there was one thing we did have to add. We had to add this marshmallow. We had to pin this kind of dependency in here. Otherwise it wasn't compiling. So let's go Docker file commit for Railway, or Docker file commit for easy container. Okay, let's go ahead and we're going to kill this container. Let's go ahead and push this. Okay, now for Railway, what we're going to do, let's jump into Railway. And it's really simple. What you do is you basically just sign in through your GitHub account. So you log in with GitHub, it'll authorize you. Okay, you agree with the terms. Awesome. Now let's deploy from my GitHub repo. From here, we're going to search for, let's go and grab the repo here that we're working with. Okay, it's not NLWeb. There it is. Okay, awesome. Okay, so this is the URL here, NLWeb WP. Awesome. Let's see how this deploys. And this might be a little bit trial and error, but we'll just kind of work through it and get it all going. Okay, it did say that it went. Awesome. Okay, so we're watching the live deployment right here. So it's in process of kind of setting up the Docker container. So I want to pause this, let this run, and then we'll work our way from there. Awesome. Okay, so it did say this is loaded. Let's see if it actually lets us open this though. Right, because it's running now on a server. It's deployed on a server, so we have to figure out how to get the URL, and then we'll view that. Okay, from there you're going to go and click on NLWeb P. You're going to go to settings right here. Then you're going to go ahead and go to the networking settings, and you're going to click generate domain. And then from here, it actually gives you the domain that you can go to. Now, if you jump into this, I don't think it'll work. Oh, it does. It routes it appropriately. That's perfect. Yep. Cool. So then from here, what we need to do, so there's a couple steps that we need to do. One of them is from this backend, we can actually, okay, now there's a handful of variables that we do need to set up as well. So if we just refer back to our NLWeb P, then we actually have these end examples right here. And the main ones that we need to worry about is just our OpenAI endpoint, our OpenAI API key, our QDrawing URL, and then we actually don't need an API key because it's running locally on the server. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and copy these in one at a time. So we're going to click new variable, and then we're going to copy out this. So we're going to do the OpenAI endpoint. Then we've got to do our OpenAI API key, which I will do that real quick. Okay, then we got to do our QDrawing URL, which is just going to be localhost on port 6333. Okay, and all those we're going to go ahead and hit deploy. Let that deploy for a second. Okay, so that is active now. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to run the Python command that will actually index our WordPress site.